See Mustang tail lights out there. Alright. I think Bob's walking in, but it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Brock?
Here.
Mr. Gantz?
Here.
Mr. Jefferson?
Here.
Mr. Sawyer?
Here.
Mr. Schoen?
Here. Looks like he's walking in. There he is. Yep, that's him. All right. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the utility meeting minutes from January 12th. We have a motion to approve the utility meeting minutes. So moved. A motion, do I have a second? Second. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is approval of the regular meeting minutes from January 12th. There's a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes.
I will move such.
Have a motion, second. Second. Have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the claims January 13th through February 9th. Everyone's had a chance to review those. So a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Claims are approved. First, our reports, clerk treasurer.
Last month you approved the repair for a truck that was 70434. The truck part came in, the parts came in at 795.49, just an information of it was a little bit more. In the packet that I gave you late is a Sandberg electric quote for the police department. The police department works in the dark right now because their lights flicker. So there's 2 there, 2 in the hallway, and 2 in the chief's office. That it's kind of regular maintenance for the town hall. But I would like approval if you don't mind.
You just probably need lights, huh?
I don't need them, but Lori says we have to have them on during the daytime, though I think we'd feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, we don't want that. Okay. All right.
We have that, what budget's that coming out of? We have a budget?
Likely town hall maintenance.
Okay. We have the money.
Mhm.
Okay.
And this was a quote. We have a motion to approve the quote for light repair replacement from Sandberg Electric for $1,655.
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And lastly, at the last minute, we got the second change order for the water treatment plant. It's an electric change order. Sounds weird, but they had 16 lines going in, they changed it down to 8, but it ended up costing more. Wessler's been going back and forth with them, kind of arguing with them about it, but they really need to continue with this project. Trying to see if there's a page that shows it. so they can keep moving forward.
Is that with ITs or IHC or?
Yeah, it's their
Or just-
engineers.
No.
He did get it down from 6,000 to 4,641. We still have, the contingency, so we have enough to pay for it.
No, okay. We're not gonna run out of that, are we?
No, I hope not.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. All these change orders. That's how they.
But I need approval for that to send back.
All right, yeah, so it's an increase of $4,641.14. Do I have a motion to approve change order number 2 from IHC?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Attorney Square.
No report, but my apologies for being late. US 30 was closed just west of 49 interchange.
Gotcha. All right.
Had to backtrack.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Parks Department.
No report this month.
Thank you. Police Department.
All quiet.
I like it. Building Inspector.
Slow.
Slow. All right. Stormwater Management.
No report.
No report. All right. Fire Department.
Waiting for it to warm up.
Yeah. Hopefully soon. All right. No other reports, so new business. So first, we have Sean Kleinpeter, the GO bonds.
General obligation bonds.
All right, GO bonds.
Yes. All right, council, Sean Kleinpeter with Kleinpeter Financial Group. Thank you for having me here tonight. With me, I've got my sidekick here.
Dawson Lamb?
And then on the phone, we've got the bond counsels, the attorneys, Kim Blanchette. Kim, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having us tonight. And like Bob, I'm sorry I'm late. The whole 31 is closed. Just kidding. I'm on the phone because I'm in Indy, so I apologize for being on the phone.
But that's okay. So what I want to spend just a few moments with you this afternoon is to talk about the concept of general obligation bonds, how they can help the town respond to the impacts of SEA 1 that's coming. I've given you an information packet. We're not going to go line by line for there. It's really for you to think about and to reference, because if you choose to take this course of action, we would wrap it up in the 2027 budgeting cycle. So we come back June, July-ish and start thinking about, okay, what do you want to do? How do we wrap it in? What do those numbers look like? So at this stage, what we're going to do is introduce the concept of these general obligation bonds. So I'm going to go through it at a macro level, and then I'm going to let Kim talk about what you can do, what you can't do, how these bonds function. So SEA 1, broad impact SEA 1 is there's going to be a reduction in property values through a net assessed value. So what's going to happen is, because that's reduced, your revenue from those properties is going to reduce. And so as a town, you're going to have to either reduce services or find a way to recoup revenue so you can provide those services. So that's kind of going to be your chart, okay? One of the things that you can do as a council is you can issue a general obligation bond, and we'll get into the details of that. But a general obligation bond is backed by property taxes, so there would be a debt service levy that would go on the property taxes, and you would generate revenue from that. There's some limits, there's some thresholds associated with that, and we'll get into that. But this goes into a broader capital planning for the town. So if you look at the general fund today, the general fund's probably carrying some items that you might consider capital in nature. What you could do is you could take those items out of your general fund, and fund them through your capital plan. And the revenue from your general obligation bonds would fund those capital assets. Because you're removing these out of your general fund, then that frees up revenue in your general fund to pay things like extra shifts, fuel, operating costs, electricity, those types of things. So that's kind of the concept, if you're tracking, that's kind of the concept that we're talking about. The good thing about capital planning too is, as the council evolves over time, it's a lasting document that stays with the council. It also helps you plan for future expenses. It could be police radios, it could be police cars, it could be any of those things in nature. I mean, we just heard from all the different departments, right? So it kind of spreads that cost out. I give you a little bit of infographic, and I'll come back to this if this is something that you want to kind of get into a little bit, but it's really meant to kind of walk you through the process. And so really the page that we're on now is the page that talks specifically about the town of Kouts and what you are allowed to do and to what degree you can do it. So Kim and I talked about this earlier, and Kim, I'm gonna turn it over to you to talk about the general obligation bond, the thresholds, and things of that nature. If you want to pick up there.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again. Just a couple high-level things. So what we're seeing and what we've done in other cities and towns in response to kind of SEA 1 and also in long-term capital planning is, first of all, I'm super excited that you guys have a park board and you have a stormwater board, you have a utility board, because a lot of the communities that I work in too don't necessarily have separate boards for certain buckets of, what we would call public services, right? So if you back up, remind me, does the town have water and sewer? You guys have your own water and sewer?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So just like your water and sewer revenue, you have certain statutory limitations in the water statute under 8.1.5 and in the sewer statute under 36.923 that you would pay water and sewer projects, right? So with SEA 1, what we're trying to do is get communities to think about their long-term capital planning and using the levers or the tools in their toolbox to fund projects, capital in nature, from the avenues that are legally available. So for what we call general obligation bonds, or as Sean likes to affectionately call them, GO bonds, what we're looking for is for the town to set up a general obligation bond on a 3 to 4 year term, and you can go out longer, you can go out 20 years if you want, but I would say a little shorter term is better. And then what you would tie to that general obligation bond would be your capital projects that you have in the next 3 to 7 years. And I would encourage you to set up with this a long-term capital plan, kind of like you do with your EDC and your RDC deals, where you kind of tie planning to future growth, future development. That's what we see these general obligation bonds being used for. The reason why it's more helpful now than it was even before is because with SEA 1, we would like for you, like Sean said, to pay for these capital projects, not out of your general fund, but out of this general obligation bond, so that you can then in turn pay for extra, like he said, service, you could pay salaries and other things out of your general fund. You can borrow on a tax exempt basis for the general obligation bond. It's property tax back, so it's a really, really good rate. Because of the size, you can also negotiate that with your local banks if you want. You can either kind of send out a term sheet and say, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. Would you guys, like to buy these or loan us this money, and tying it back to your projects. With SEA 1, there used to be some dollar amount thresholds for property tax back debt. What SEA 1 did was they added a second layer of a debt service levy. So right now, your certified net assessed value, Sean, I think is 124 million for the town, about?
Yes.
Okay, so by statute, you can take 2% of your certified net assessed value, and you can take a third of that number, and that is your general obligation bond capacity. So it comes out to about 827,000, give or take. I think that, is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
827, okay. And then with SCA 1, instead of giving just a dollar threshold on projects, that it would be subject to kind of what's called an objection period on property tax back bonds on petition remonstrance, they actually put in a debt service levy limit as well, so kind of a two-pronged test. And we just want you to stay under the 25 cents for a town and a city. So you guys, I think, even if you wanted, you don't have to do the 827, that's just the most you could do. So the other thing that, again, let me pause there and see, do you have questions right now? And then I kind of wanted to go over just some other thoughts I had on capital planning.
I have a question, John Schoen. Can these bonds be used to match federal or state grants?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good question.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And we see these being used, actually I have 2 communities right now that are in the process of doing this exact general obligation bond for matching grants. Yes, absolutely, that is a use. The one thing that we can't use the general obligation bond for is salaries. Anything that would be operating in nature, because those we can't issue tax exempt bonds for. We need those to be a capital in nature, so long-term in the ground. For example, some of the things that I've seen communities do is, street lights, pavement improvements, sidewalk improvements, any other part. Okay, well, so let me back up. What I would really, really like you to do is, I know you have a parks board, but Bob, is your parks board a park district, do you know, or is it an advisory park board? Do you know?
It's advisory park board, I believe.
A board, yeah, okay. So if you wanted to have as many tools in your toolbox, here's just a high level how I would look at going forward. You can set up a park district. I know you have a park. I know you have this, is it Drazer Memorial Park? You have a park, or so I don't know how many parks you have, but I assume you have a park. And I don't know, how do you normally pay for park improvements? Do you pay for it as you go? Do you do fundraising? Do you pay for it? How do you pay for your park improvements generally?
That would be a question.
Fundraising and the
Okay.
EDC.
Yeah, or kind of pay as you go, right? If
Yes.
something needs to be done. So you can definitely use the general obligation bond for any park improvements. You can use it for any capital projects. You can use it for police vehicles, trucks, plows, anything, any equipment that you would need. Those are the purposes that I generally see the general obligation bonds, and also for any type of match. What I would encourage you to do is figure out, and Sean, you could figure this out for them on the back of the napkin at some point, but figure out what their certified net assessed value increase was from last year to this year, so from 25 to 26, and then maybe backing into kind of that debt service rate, like we talked about when we did Sweetser, Sean, and seeing what amount that gets them, so that they wouldn't have to have such a big impact, right? So you're doing a net neutral tax impact for the citizens. And that's something that Sean can look at later, but we see, so as your revenues are going to be, as you're going to have a little more of a shortfall in revenues, we're hoping that we can pull out all the capital in nature things that you would normally have funded out of general fund, and we want you to put these into kind of these general obligation bonds on just a short-term basis. So what I'd like for you to do in the future is to look and say, oh, okay, here's our capital plan. We've listed 15 things as things we want to do in the next 3 years. And then in the next 5 years, here's another list. In the next 7 years, here's another list. And when we do these general obligation bonds, we can do kind of a kitchen sink approach to it, meaning we can list several things, as long as they're capital in nature, that you want to do. And then as things move, ebb and flow, you can pick those things as you move forward. And then come year 3, we'd like you to, again, to look at it and say, oh, we spent that money, and now we'd like to, do another one where that one matures in year 3 or 4, and then do another 3 to 4 year one, so that you can hand this capital planning tool to your successors. So you're not having to constantly figure out something like, oh, we need this, let's pay for it out of the general fund, or oh, we need this, let's So that's just a high level use that I've seen the general obligation bonds. We just did this for the city of Huntington, Indiana, and the mayor is literally setting up a long-term capital plan for just that. It's vehicles, police vehicles, we see those useful lives about 3 years. Trucks, utility, anything in nature, sidewalk improvements, lighting, whatever. Again, maybe you're a town that doesn't have any projects, so that maybe you don't need it.
Everybody's laughing. Everybody always has needs.
I mean, and then the thing that I think is most relevant to your constituents and to the people that live in your town is, what are you doing to improve the services? What are you doing to improve the lives of the people that live there? And that is the best use of those funds.
So we've done some quality of place initiatives with the funds that, you know, the town had struggled with for years, and when we talked to them about this, they said, oh my God, can we really get that done? And we're like, yeah.
Yes,
So-
yes.
So some
I want to
like,
make sure I understand this.
yes,
We can take capital projects only.
correct,
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, no salaries, no operating costs, because what we would like for you to do is take those, so we're not, so that we can keep your general fund for operating and salaries and employees, benefits, all those things that are kind of more operating in nature, and take the capital plans, the capital projects, and put them in a bucket, so that you can decide in, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. It's kind of hard to go out, in my opinion, at least in the communities that have done this, it's a little harder to go out more than 7 years. 3 to 5 to 7 years is about where they're like, okay, we know these are the lists. And again, it doesn't mean you don't dust off that long-term plan, that capital plan, and add things or take them away depending on kind of what your needs are.
So, Kim, just give me some reading of the room, so I think a lot of people are kind of thinking about, what did this think of, how can we do this, how can we leverage this? I mean, we talked about the park, right? Do we need new playground equipment at the park, those types of things, right?
Yes,
That's,
sidewalk improvement, street paving, anything.
that's part of why we're here in February.
Nature.
And we're here in February because, I've been talking to Ms. Lori about this and saying, hey, I think this might be something that the council wants to consider. So we're here in February talking about it. And so, I mean, before you know it, June, July, we'll
Right,
start planning the
right.
2027. And at that time, we've got to start getting serious about, hey, this is something we want to do, something we're going to add value. It gives you 3 or 4 months to think about where could these funds like this best be suited. Some councils have a workshop, and they kind of put their things down, and they say, hey, here's a spreadsheet, you got your monitor up here, here's a spreadsheet of the things that we know we're going to incur these costs. We know we're going to have to replace police cars. We just know it.
Yep.
And that's high priority, that's health and safety, that's high priority. We got that. And then you lay this out and you say, okay, based on that, how can we fund it? And so just make it tangible for you on the sheet that I've gotten showing you here. This is a maximum number, and you don't have to go to this number, but just give you an idea. So because your certified net assessed value is 124 million, based on those calculations that Kim was walking us through, you're authorized, the board is authorized to issue up to $827,000 in general obligation bonds for 3 years, for 5 years. So let's say for the sake of argument, you wanted to go $500,000 and you wanted to go for 5 years. So then, just to make the math easy, that's $100,000 a year towards your capital plan. So in 2027 would be the first year of your capital plan, you would have those funds available, and you'd say, hey, we have $100,000. With this year, based on our plan, we're gonna do a police car, some radios, and some equipment at the park. And those things add up to $89,000, and I think, as a council, I think that's where we're best served to use those funds. Year 2, so now we're in 2028. Year 2, we got $100,000. We're gonna do a continuation of the park project maybe. So there's another $100,000. And there's a real tangible way that you can take these funds, allocate them to projects that you've got prioritized on your capital plan, and not try to struggle to squeeze them out of your general fund here.
So could we use it for water and sewer projects as long as it's,
I would rather, that's a great question.
Good word, question.
What I would like for you to do for water and sewer, use, because you have a statutory avenue for water and sewer, you've got water revenue bonds and sewer revenue bonds, right? I would rather you pay those projects out of those funds. However, asterisk, if you have equipment, for example, that goes across different platforms, like for example, we've had a lot of communities do utility trucks. And maybe it's a plow, maybe it's another utility truck that's used across different thresholds for the town, meaning they use it in the winter to plow, and then they use it in the summer for other things. Those things make sense to me to use in kind of the geobond capacity, but for actual like pipe, sewer plate replacement, plant work, that stuff, I would like for you to stay in the water and sewer lane. However, another caveat, and again, I see this a lot, you have a stormwater board. I assume that you have stormwater projects. 90% of the time I see stormwater projects, and I think I heard you say you guys use Wessler, maybe engineering, I don't know who your engineers are, but
You're correct.
Wessler, yeah, so I've worked with them a lot, but if you have stormwater projects, I see most communities pay for those stormwater projects out of the sewer, because that's where they're statutorily, that's where they lie. You can set up a stormwater district that you could actually have a separate levy, not from the geo bonds, not from your general obligation, but a stormwater district that could actually do projects on its own debt levy. Okay? You can do the same thing for park. You can set up a park district, which is statutorily very easy to create. Bob, I can show you how to do that very easily. And then that park district can actually issue its own bonds payable from a separate debt service levy, but only for park projects. So what I'd like to see the town do is, what levers can you pull if and when you want to pull them? Just because you set up these stormwater districts in a park district doesn't mean you have to issue any debt against those new districts. It does not. But at least have them as a tool in your toolbox so that we can start putting what projects fit into what categories that legally and statutorily are already created. Does that make sense? I hate for you to pay for a stormwater project out of sewer revenues if it's a big stormwater project, when you can have an option to fund it through a different revenue source, or a different avenue.
We do fund
And
it through a
this is
different.
just big picture thinking. I don't mean to like overwhelm you, but I'm trying to get you to think of all the different levers you can pull to fund the needs you have in the town. And maybe some of them are relevant and maybe some of them aren't.
Stormwater has its own fund. It doesn't get paid out of sewer.
Okay.
Yeah, is it like a fee, like a monthly fee you put on the bill usually, like a
Yes.
stormwater fee?
Yes.
Yeah. And you can, again, you can still set up, stormwater district if you wanted to. You don't have to. Again, these are just legal options that are available.
So to continue on, the other thing I wanted to share with you, and I put it in your packet, is we look back, and the town of Kouts has had a debt service levy prior. So the town, from 96 to 2005, the town had leveraged these general obligation bonds to fund some project in the past. And I just say that because it's not a new concept. This concept's been around for a while. The town has actually leveraged this concept. We're just kind of bringing it to light to let you know that, there is a possibility here for you to leverage this for the things that Ken had mentioned. But, sometimes I don't think councils realize, what kind of statutory authority they have. We say you can go up to $800,000. We say that because you're kind of limited at 25% per $100 of assessed value. There's kind of a cap there. And the numbers that we're talking about, these are real numbers that are attainable by the council that keeps you below that limit. So this is really in your control. So if you want to take that.
And the way that the funding works, just so you know how kind of the general obligation bond works. So the reason that we're talking to you now is because what we would like to see, or what we would have to see, is you would have to issue any bonds, a general obligation bond, prior to the end of this year. And normally we issue them in the fall because the DLGF would then levy, they would set up a separate debt service levy for your first payment, which would generally occur in January or July of 27. So that's why it's imperative that it's not imperative now, but it will become, we would have to issue those bonds prior to the end of the year so that the levy could be in place, a separate debt service levy could be in place for payments on those, the debt service or the principal and interest payments starting in 27.
Let me ask you this.
John's got lots of questions here.
Yeah.
No, John, please ask away.
If we had a subdivision that was already approved to be put in, but it has no infrastructure,
Ooh, there's a whole nother conversation.
Like
Keep
the
going.
water and sewer
Keep
out
going.
there.
could this be used to fund that if we collected when somebody buys a lot or something and pays their portion for that lot?
Well, that's got a lot more hair on it, John, because I can tell that you really like to ask the tough questions. That is definitely not a straightforward answer. I can't give you a straightforward answer on that because it's not really like let me back up. If if you're running streets and lines and like water lines, sewer lines out there, and if anyone can hook on, then there's an argument that it benefits everyone. But when you're benefiting one subdivision, it's probably not as clean as what we would like to see in a GO bond. So I guess the short answer is that's not an ideal project for this.
Even if that was created in a district? Could that subdivision be created in a district, a sanitary district, a water district?
Kim,
Yes, yes.
Yes, it could, or yes, you're just agreeing with me?
No, yeah, are you talking about you're needing to run water and sewer out to that subdivision?
Yes.
Yeah. When you run those lines, are you gonna let anyone else hook on? I mean, meaning like, are you running the line only to the subdivision with the intent that no one else could hook on? It would be an availability question, right?
Oh, no, anybody that buys a lot in that subdivision would
The good answer is
pay.
yes, it'd be available to everyone.
Yeah.
Just because then you could say it benefits any and all, even though you may not have any beneficiaries directly. But that is a way maybe better through the EDC
so
or your RDC.
Kim, I'll interject for just a second, because this has become a popular topic with the housing shortages in Indiana. And so, if we digress just for a second to talk about a subdivision. So, a lot of times, this conversation happens at councils, the first thing we say is do we need to annex that property in? If it's outside the town limits, then we have an annexation process we go to, we annex it in, and then we say, okay, it's part of the town. Now, what do we want to do? Well, we want to bring infrastructure out to it. So the Indiana Finance Authority has seen a big demand for this, and so last year they started a new program called the Rural Residential Infrastructure Fund. And the Residential Infrastructure Fund provides low-cost financing for residential housing, things like this.
Okay.
Sherry Seaward is the one that runs the program. She is super nice and super capable. We did some projects last year with this, and I just talked to her. Last year, that program opened up in September, and it kind of closed in October and told everybody who gets the money. This year, it's going to open up June 15th, and by August, she said they'll be ready to issue funds. So that would have debt at a lower rate than even these GO bonds that we would issue. So I would advise you, if you need to do something like that, that we approach Sherry. We do an application for the Residential Infrastructure Fund. We would work with the engineer to get a cost estimate of what this is, kind of put a little PER together, a preliminary engineering report together. And we would say, yeah, we want to go after that debt. And then we could structure rates and ordinances on this, as they buy in, what's their tap fees,
Yep.
things of that nature. So I would recommend, if the town's pursuing something like that, I think we've got some really specific tools for that.
And
that's
a
through the
perfect tool
Indiana
for that.
Finance
That's nice
Authority?
that that's
Yes.
approved.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get like 2.6% interest
Right.
rates. These bonds that we issue, they're gonna be 4 and some change
And
from.
are they locked in then, at whatever they are, once they're issued?
Yeah,
The-
Yes.
The interest
Yes.
doesn't change?
correct. It'll be for the life of the loan, so.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that's,
they're all fixed rate.
yeah, and that's really good, so.
Yep.
So we can talk about that if you have that need. I mean, I can come back separate and we can talk about that, because we're seeing a lot of that through Indiana.
I'll bet.
But back on the general obligation bonds, so Kim, thank you for walking us through that. That was our
It's
purpose.
kind of like I want all your departments to put Christmas lists together. It's a little early for Christmas, but Christmas in July. So that's where I would want you to start with your Christmas list and then see what projects you have, see what things you have in the next 3 to 5 years, and then see if it makes sense for you.
And I left everybody a packet for you to think about it as you start to plan it and you start to think about the mechanics of this. Kim and I, and of course Dawson, we're only a phone call away. If you guys want to have a planning session, I'd be more than happy to come up here and have a planning session. I mean, I can put my laptop on the screen here and we can build an Excel spreadsheet as we go. I mean, we've done things like this where everybody gets stickers together and they put what they think on the sticker and kind of put it up and we sort it and say, that's health and safety, that kind of bubbles to the top, and so we got to take care of those things first. This is quality of place, that's something that's critical to our residents as well, so that's got to fit on here. And we just go through that exercise and lay it out and say, okay, what's that number at the bottom? And based on that number at the bottom, is that something that we can fit in some type of a structure? 3 year, 5 year, whatever.
It definitely can include any matching grant funds, for sure.
And that's a good
definitely
point, too.
applicable. Any equipment, police radios, IT, computers, anything equipment related for the town or for any of the departments in the town. That's also eligible,
'Cause if
along with
you can
vehicles,
use it to get a
equipment,
bigger chunk of
and
money.
other things.
That's fine.
It's a force multiplier.
Right, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah. So with that, I don't want to take the council's whole afternoon, but I wanted to introduce that concept. I wanted Kim to walk you through the technical aspects of it. I wanted to get everybody thinking about it. And really, my only ask is to think about it. And if this is something that is going to add value, then I can work with Ms. Lori and we can find a time to come back. I can help you through a workshop. You can do your workshop yourself and say, I got it figured out, this is the number I want, and we can structure something that meets that need.
Okay.
Yeah, and we would use Bob for all of it, on the local level, everything, like helping us kind of navigate
All the
that.
heavy lifting.
So, wouldn't be stepping on any toes at all.
That's a lot of information to absorb,
Yes, yes.
a lot to read through and consider and hear from our departments on.
So think about it, if you got, just like this subdivision that's concept that's brewing, if that's something that, you want to go after, we can definitely help you go after these things.
Okay.
And I also think if you can think a little bit longer term, it will save you in your costs later. Because there's cost of issuance involved, there's professional fees and all those things. And so I would like for the communities like you guys to think, okay, what do we need in the next 3 to 7 years? And then try to put it all in one bucket so that you don't have to kind of keep robbing Peter to pay Paul. And you don't have to keep incurring costs every time something comes up that is capital in nature. And that way it will save you some time and money down the road, and it's great for succession planning, so that you can hand off to the next council, or the next president, or whoever, here's our list,
Yeah,
this is where we are.
understood.
Well, Kim, thank you very much. I think we're going to wrap here. Councilman Month, I'm going to excuse myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
All right, thanks, Kim. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope it's been helpful.
Yes. Give us food for thought.
And on that residential infrastructure fund, June 15th comes pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if that's something you're doing, that is the best money there is out there because the Finance Authority saw this coming, and so the General Assembly said, we gotta fund this. So,
Yeah, and we're gonna get some money from the feds for that through the state. But the state's gonna get, the Finance Authority's gonna get
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, if there's anything I do, just let me know.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
See you guys.
Thank you. All right. A lot of information. All right. Next, we have ordinance number 2026-4. It's an ordinance amending the golf cart operation. Just adding that golf carts shall not be permitted to operate on any sidewalks or walking paths within the town, including town parks. Does anybody have any comment or anything on that? All right. This would be the first reading of this, so we gotta make a motion to suspend the rules to pass on the first reading, if we would like to do that.
I move. So,
Motion to suspend the rules, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Well, we need a voice.
Yeah, roll call.
Voice.
Okay. Alright, this is a roll call vote.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sawyer?
Yes.
Mr. Schoen?
yes.
Alright, motion passes to suspend the rules. Alright, so now we have to
Make a,
make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-4. Alright, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, any opposed? Motion carries. Next we have resolution 2026-4. It's a resolution recognizing public service of Lois Koval. I'll go ahead and read this. Resolution 2026-4, a resolution recognizing the public service of Lois Koval. Whereas Lois Koval serves her last day as member of the Kouts Planning Commission on December 31st, 2025, and whereas Lois Koval has demonstrated her commitment to public service by serving the citizens of Kouts as a member of the Planning Commission since May 1st, 2014. And whereas during her 11 years, 8 months of service as a member of the Kouts Planning Commission, Lois also served on the Board of Zoning and Appeals. Lois has shown herself to be committed to bettering the quality of government in the town of Kouts, and therefore it is the desire of the Kouts Town Council to publicly commend and congratulate Lois Koval for her public service to the citizens of the town of Kouts as a member of the Kouts Planning Commission and BZA. The town council wants to thank her for her service, hard work, and dedication to the town of Kouts.
Is she here?
She's not.
No.
But her service is appreciated. All right, is there a motion to adopt resolution 2026-4?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we have the 2026 street paving bid award. Okay, so there were 3 bids received from Site Services, Reeve Riley, and Milestone.
You just have to pick which company and approve it on unit prices.
Do I have them?
Should, but if you don't,
So look like this.
Okay, thank you.
All right. It looks like Reeve Riley came in for best bid. Let's see. So we have, do I need to read all the bids for this? Or just the unit prices that?
you opened them at did you put them at a meeting or
I don't recall.
do public meeting?
We should, right?
we didn't, no, Jim Mandan opened them and put his recommendations in.
Okay, so, no.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so Reeve Riley came in. Okay, they listed their unit prices as probably pronounce this wrong. Bituminous removal, $3. Leveling binder, $93. Tack, that is...
1 cent.
1 cent. Okay, bituminous surface, $99.50, total $356,307.50. There's a motion to approve the bid from Reese Riley.
I will move.
Motion, to have a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That motion carries.
Did they break that out by the streets because of the storm board was gonna pave some of the streets out around?
It is broken up by streets. I have that in my office.
Next we have IHC pay application number 7 for the water project.
This was approved by Westler, it just needs a signature.
Alright, so this would be payment number 7 for $708,303.85. We have a motion to approve pay application number 7.
Yeah.
So moved to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we have the EDC Commission appointment for Aaron Drain.
He is not here. Kelsey Young has to go off for, she works on that night. So Aaron is a friend of Kelsey's, who will cover.
Okay. All right. All right, do I have a motion to approve? Is that me or is that the board?
Oh, that's the board.
Okay. I have a motion to approve Aaron Drang for an EDC appointment.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, okay. Okay, then we have Park Board reappointment for Carly Stahl. There a motion to approve Carly Stahl for the Park Board.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
You have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That motion carries. Let's see, old business. So old business, we have ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance amending the town code for parking regulations, residential parking.
Patty came and told me what you guys wanted to change. I tried to put things in. I really couldn't find another way of writing it, to be honest with you. The ordinance itself is pretty clear, so if you can clarify more of what you're looking at,
I'll read through this.
I looked up other ordinances of other towns. They're pretty much the same. A lot of them don't only allow concrete and asphalt for driveways only because of the dust. Some do, some don't. Most of them don't want anybody parking on grass because of the infrastructure. I guess ruts for mosquitoes and stuff like that.
Nobody parking in the front yard.
Right, grass. Well, and that's where a lot of the infrastructure is. Everybody has different rules. You know, some of them say if you have a concrete driveway and you want to add on to put your RV, you have to use concrete. You know, ours is not,
That's specific.
it's not so strict on it, I guess is what. A lot of them really do have really strict ones. They, you know, Fort Wayne is a big city, but it prohibits grass, it only approves surfaces are asphalt and concrete and paving, brick, and so.
You got any ideas on that, Orville?
Don't get me involved in that.
Well, you might be if you...
I would enforce the rule, but I am not going to make it.
Okay. My idea is that we pass this ordinance and hope it works, and if it doesn't, we'll come back and reevaluate it. What do you think? At least he has something to work with, which is the main concern. Or we can table it again. All right.
Yeah.
You go take pictures, please.
Basically what we did was we had a couple committee meetings, where some ideas went back and forth on this. And our ordinance officer's having some problems with parking that need to be addressed. Which this, in my opinion, would help resolve those.
I think so.
Yeah.
At least the problems that she conveyed to us.
Sure. And I'm just one guy, my opinion is, you know, new construction, primary driveway, concrete, asphalt, brick, you know, the stuff that's in a hard surface here. And I've just personally expressed the benefit of my gravel side driveway that we've had. That's been pretty helpful, and like the cost of putting a blacktop or concrete in for a you know, a small parking area, secondary, that's pretty prohibitive for people to do that. But the way the ordinance reads right here, I think it would require asphalt, concrete, or that brick. That's just my view on it.
If I may, Tyler, I'm thinking one house that was just recently put in on Church Street, back kind of between McKinley and Shady Lane. When that house was put in, that's probably a 400-foot long driveway.
Yeah.
If you have to force them to do, you know, concrete or asphalt, not them because they're existing now, but a house in that position, I mean, you're talking a $100,000 driveway.
Yeah.
That house isn't gonna get built. you're just kind of chasing growth out at that point if you have a situation like that. The Hearthstone, area 2, that's not gonna have it as of right now behind Save Lot. If that gets divided into a couple big lots and somebody wants to put a house in the middle of 3 acres, how do they put a driveway in that's 400 feet long?
Yeah, and some of that was discussed and brought up during the committee meetings is, I would not like to, make something prohibitively expensive for someone trying to build that either has a larger lot or, a need for a longer driveway. 'Cause I think lots,
It goes right through there to the grocery store with the dust going through might be an issue for the grocery store. I mean, I know you can roll the cost of your driveway into the home.
Sure.
And to me, if you're building that expensive of a home, and it's just me, you want to have that kind of driveway.
yeah, I get that. So, now, I don't know what driveways cost, I haven't built a house yet, but if I did, and that, say my driveway was gonna cost an extra $100,000 to roll into a loan, you think paying that on that for 30 years, that's an extra?
I'm reasonably certain that if you look at the county, and you look at some of those driveways that are a mile long all the way back off of some of those roads, they're all paved. I'm almost positive that the county requires paving for 2 reasons. One is waterfall, so that the water's sloped the correct way, because you can fudge on gravel, it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. And secondly, plowing rocks down into the road.
Sure.
So if you're gonna put a mile-long driveway and then plow all the rocks down into the road, because I know you're not supposed to plow the snow into the road, but they do it all the time, and then they start plowing those rocks into the road, then what?
Yeah.
So personally, since you asked, I'm absolutely for pavement and more concrete.
Yeah.
If you're gonna build a multi-million-dollar house, you can afford a driveway.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, we don't have a lot of multi-million-dollar houses being
Because that's not the
in
point.
Kouts.
If you're gonna build a driveway that's a half a mile long in Kouts, and the rule says you gotta have pavement, then you gotta afford it.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem.
Yeah, I guess the way to look at it, the decision that we make here, is it gonna cost somebody $100,000 plus interest over 30 years?
But that's not our problem.
Well, it's my neighbor's problem.
I'm just saying, but it's your town's problem when your guys are plowing and they're plowing rocks into the driveway and you mess up.
Yeah. I get it,
So, who's
Yeah.
paying for what?
yeah. Okay.
You can also apply for a variance if they really want to.
Yeah. Well, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 2025-10?
I move that we adopt these rules.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna oppose it. That's just me. All right. Motion carried. All right, any other matters that come before the council? Anyone out there? All right. Just real quick, I'd like to mention, I got a call from Mike Kleinpeter. He just wanted to basically let us know that there's potentially some grant opportunity for stormwater projects, drainage, that kind of stuff through Okra, which would, I think he said is like up to $700,000. Would just require a 10% match from the town. So we wanted to put that on our radar. So,
Okay.
Cool.
if we have questions about that, or if that's something we're interested in, we can reach out to Mike.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. So, all right. Are there any other?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who do we pay to check, that make sure streetlights work?
We call NIPSCO.
Well,
No, we don't call them NIPSCO, we go online and mark it. Susie just got on their back because they weren't changing any of them, and people have been complaining for quite a while, and they have been out doing it now.
but who reports it?
Anybody can, you can go on the NIPSCO
I
site.
tried that today and it's not working.
Most people call here and ask us to do it.
Okay,
And
so we will do it?
Yeah.
Okay. We have McKinley Street, it has no streetlights, and there's two on that street between Church
Two
Street.
that are out.
Two that are out, correct.
Okay.
There's a lot of them out around town.
McKinley and Church,
Correct. I have the numbers
okay.
of the poles.
Okay, that's even better.
Yeah, mine was out, but I tried to order it online.
Yeah, they've been really far behind. She's got their case.
But they fixed it, so I can't replace it. They sent the guy out to fix it without a notice.
Without what? Without a new what? Oh, yeah.
And the guy said, crazy, right?
Well, I would like to that as
Since the meeting was closed,
Good way to learn.
And the streetlight ones, they can change from that.
Okay, meeting is still going. So just one more thing, so Patty Gephardt for code enforcement, do we have a motion to reappoint her to that position?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.